All right. Welcome, Veronika Tomkova. I'm so excited to have you here for my Compassionate Leaders series. It was a bit of a start getting here today, but I'm excited that we made it. So, all of you out there, Veronika is a raw food lifestyle coach, a yoga and mindfulness therapist, and she also is an unschooling single mom of one, currently in Indonesia. So I'm really excited to introduce her to you today and let her share a little bit about herself. Um, and actually, she and I are together in this conscious entrepreneurship community. That's where we first met. And so I also am really excited always to be bringing new people to show you a little bit more about what it's like being in our community and how amazing it is that we get to connect with people all over the world, right? So, Veronika, my first question for you is just really like what lights you up? What are you most passionate about?
There are many things. Many things. I'm very much like multitasking person. Every time when somebody asks this question and I list all the things and people are like, huh? And I'm like, I just love life. I just love life basically. But I would say that for me, the red line behind all these things, there is some kind of red line, which, as I understood it, and it's healthy lifestyle. It's a sustainable lifestyle, which is good for us and good for the planet. And it's also the life of freedom and choice, which for me then mirrors in all kind of aspects, like education, medical freedom, with the job, space where you live, permaculture, food, way of living, and all of that. But yeah,
Yeah.
I would say it's
Oh,
this
cool.
thriving for the humanity, sustainable lifestyle, and choice and freedom.
Mm.
Mm.
Yeah, absolutely. All of which fits in really well with the conscious entrepreneurship kind of model that we work with. So that's super cool. Um, so what was it that, I know that you have your work as a coach working with raw food and you are a raw food chef, I think, and also a therapist with yoga and mindfulness. And so what was it, where were you before and what was it that made you decide to really dive into the conscious entrepreneurship community?
Yeah, I have been entrepreneur for most of my life, and it was a beautiful journey. So that's kind of the normal thing for me. But then I moved across the country, across the world, I wanted to say. And it wasn't really planned, The plan was to come for a couple of months of the holiday. Then whole COVID came, and a couple of things happened at home, which made it not possible for us to go back. So I was like,
Mm.
okay, I am on the journey of moving forward. How can I move forward in this situation I am in? And, continue the beautiful journey of being an entrepreneur, being conscious, and yeah, striving for the values I have. Then I found this beautiful space and I saw the community, and I saw that there were so many moms in the same situation as me, right? Doing
Mm.
unschooling, single moms, going through the separation and, coming on the other side. And I felt like, yay, this is my home. This is it. This is what I'm going to do. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Absolutely. Cool. So what would you say is the biggest change that you've seen in your life so far since becoming a part of the conscious entrepreneurship community?
There was many things, I would basically say that I stretched myself into the
Mhm.
heights and depths I would never believe I would be part of, right? Like, I started basically from nothing and a couple of many limiting beliefs, I would say. And, and yeah, so many things I just felt like, no, like Facebook Live, no, this is not me. Am I
Right.
going to
Yeah.
be part of an interview? No, forget it. Or some simple everyday things like, when we moved here, I couldn't drive a bike, and here there is no public transportation, which means that if you don't drive, you get stuck in your house or around. I was cycling for 7.5 months, which is incredible.
Oh,
But Yeah, so I started to surf. I not only learned to drive a bike, but I actually bought one, and now I'm just driving everywhere. It's just completely fine. I started to dive, tons and tons of things. I hired a nanny for my son, which like half a year ago would be totally no. We had
Yeah.
such a strong connection together and such a tight relationship. So if you would ask me like, oh, would you just deliver him to anybody in the country you have never been in and it's completely different culture, kind of had to come over certain obstacles in me. But yeah, no, my life before Freedom Era and where I'm today, it's completely different. And the best thing is that it's a journey, right? I'm not done. It's a journey.
Yeah.
So before, right now I just found some amazing course on one island here in Indonesia, which I really would love to visit, and it's a free diving. And I'm like, wow, free diving, that sounds awesome. I want to do it. Like if you would ask me half a year ago, I would be like, this is insane. Like dive without air into 6 meters. And I'm like, that sounds cool. Let's do it. Oh,
Yeah. Oh, that's
so
so cool.
everything
Yeah.
changed, totally everything. Just it did the inner change, which then allows me to do the outer changes in absolutely any direction which might come, which is just
Yeah.
incredible. Sorry, I'm getting the morning sun here.
Yeah. That's okay. Yeah, it's so amazing. I think, the difference, for those of us who were as entrepreneurs before we joined this community and this space, we know what it's like to be kind of lonely on that road because you're working for yourself and you're doing your own thing. And so you wouldn't have necessarily even thought about having a community around being an entrepreneur, but once you get that, it's like just watching everyone on their own unique path and getting all that support to do the inner work like you said, and then to push us outside of our comfort zones and just discovering all the things that are possible. It's really, really incredible. So it's so exciting always to hear the stories of what people have started to explore through this process. Because it really is like your whole life changes. It's not just about business at all.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So, if you could give advice to people based on your life experience so far, what would your piece of advice be?
Yeah, I would say, if your heart is calling you somewhere and it feels impossible, like for me with Indonesia, just do it. Because if your heart is calling you somewhere, then it's the right thing for you. And, sometimes you just have to jump and fly and hope that the wings will grow as you fall. And they do.
Yeah.
They really
Oh,
do. No,
yeah.
and then the life evolves like, right? I have been living almost 1 year in tropics, and if you would tell it to me like a couple of years ago, I would be like, no, I'm sitting in Scandinavia, I'm freezing my ass off. I just knew like, okay, I'm ready for something else. There is another way, and I have had years of longing, and at one point I was just like, now I just jump. I don't care anymore. I just jump, and we see how it ends up.
Yeah. Oh, that's so powerful. And I think that I always think about the concept of the butterfly and how they have to come out and like stretch their wings and like get their practice as they break out of their shell. Because if they don't do that, they don't grow the strength to fly. And I think it's so true for us too. We have to just like get out there and start pushing and growing. So that's awesome. Oh, well, I guess so. The last question that I really want to ask you is if people are curious in particular about changing their lifestyle, like going for a raw food lifestyle, or maybe exploring more mindfulness or yoga or something like that, just learning more about all these wonderful things that you do, how would you suggest they go forward to learn more about what you do?
The first thing I would say is keep it simple. So many people think, for me, this was a transformation over last 20 years because I have had, when I was kid and growing up, I have had so many autoimmune issues. And at one point I was just like, this is not life. There is a more to life. So I started to search. So it was, for me, it was a long process. And then like, for example, I'm sugar-free. I have been sugar-free for 5 years. And when people ask me like, oh, how can you be sugar free? I'm like, it's a process, but at the end, it's really the decision. For me,
Mm,
like with the sugar, it was like from one day to another. No, I'm done. I would never go back, because where I am with my body and with my mind, I would never ever go back. So I would say, make the decision, keep it simple. If you think like going 100% raw, for most people, it's not doable. I'm honest. So I would say, keep it simple. You can maybe take one raw meal a day, or you can take one 15 minutes yoga class a day. That's doable for most of people. And just make
yeah.
the decision, keep it simple, get the support. That's super important, because if you do it alone, you will fall off the wagon after a certain time. Most of people do, because it's just too lonely. And it's still the journey which is less traveled. So for most people, they need the support, they need the community. And I would also say, educate yourself. It's super important, because I have been vegan and vegetarian for 1/3 of my life, which means something like 13 years. But first years of my vegetarian, oh my gosh, I'm happy I didn't die. I just ate like rice crackers, because I didn't know that it's a protein. Like, I was like, okay, just cut off the meat and then I just eat the rest, which was like dry rice and rice cracker and like vegetables. No, because if you take the normal Czech diet, there are not so many vegetables, and then you cut off the meat,
Mm.
they have not so much to eat. So
Oh
yeah.
gosh, yeah.
So that's super important,
Wow.
because otherwise you ruin
Yes.
your own body. So I would say, you don't need to have like super, super, super education, but definitely educate yourself on some basics. Can be YouTube channel. There are many things to reach out, or book, or anything you prefer. And also, if anybody wants to, I coach people. So I offer coaching sessions, like one-to-one, online, offline. I also will have a Christmas course, like Christmas raw vegan baking, because it's not really baking, but yeah, raw vegan drying, can you say?
Yeah.
There will be a lot of fun. So we'll make like
Oh, cool.
chocolate and energy balls and different things. It will be in November, around three weeks, and it will be online. So it's possible to join, and it will be like stream online, so then people can ask questions and all of that. And I will also have a 21 days transformation in January. So it will be like New Year transformation with mindset and yoga and recipes and daily coaching, and be part of a community. And that will be super awesome. This is how I started.
Cool.
And I know that it works, right? Because I know it on my own body. So I wanna
Yeah.
give this gift to other people.
Awesome. Wow, that's so cool. So that's great, great way to get started for anybody. I love your tips to just educate ourselves and get out there and start learning. But I think it's fantastic that people can also reach out to you directly and get some support, whether it's one-on-one or joining your groups. So if anybody's interested in that, definitely feel free to reach out to Veronika for her groups. And if anyone wants to check out our Conscious Entrepreneurship community, you can also reach out to me or Veronika. We'd be happy to show you around in there. And yeah, I guess that's a wrap for today. Do you have anything else that you want to add, Veronika, before I let you go?
No, I just wanted to say thank you for taking me here. It was a pleasure.
Yes. Thank
Thank
you
you.
so much for being here. This was so much fun, and I hope everybody has a wonderful day.
Hmm.